Hey friends. I had an interesting idea show up yesterday because I think I might have been listening to Rick Rubin's book on creativity, or I had the creative process and creative work on my mind, and I had this insight. As a musician, as any kind of artist, it's not uncommon, it's not healthy, but it's not uncommon to feel like, oh, I'll never be as good as so and so, whatever master, whatever, heroes of our domain there may be. And I know I've experienced this in my own work, even though I'm highly on the lookout for it and very conscious of it as a kind of limiting belief, an erroneous perspective. Doesn't mean it doesn't happen to us. But what showed up yesterday was this realization that, hey, wait a minute. I've been talking about and I've been even coaching a handful of clients using as my sort of basis, my outgoing assumption, the notion that a creative practice can be approached like a spiritual practice. And I realized not only can it be approached that way, but that's actually what it is. It's not something that we artificially superimpose on the process. It's actually just a recognition of what the process most fundamentally is. And if that's the case, what I had this kind of funny juxtaposition of the idea that oh, I'm losing hope in my field or my art, whatever, because so and so is so much further along. I don't know if I'll ever get there, or I feel like I'll never be as much as all this comparative thinking, right? This sort of like comparing ourselves. And then I had this, I had a little question pop up into my mind. Well, what about meditation? Would I ever say that about meditation? Would I ever say, I just think I'm just not as good a meditator as the Dalai Lama. So I quit. I give up. I'm never going to be that great at meditation. What? Why? That doesn't even make sense. It's like so obvious that perspective is flawed. And I think, in reflecting on this, what I came to is the process of meditation is a fundamentally interior experience. And it's explicitly an interior experience. We're not meditating to perform anything for anyone. We're meditating as a way of connecting to our own essence, a way of stilling and kind of, it's like landscaping our own interior. And so the notion of comparison with an external just hardly even arises. And that's how the creative practice at its highest level also is. It's a primarily interior experience. Now, obviously, something like theater, music, art, any, a creative practice almost by definition contains some sort of externally expressive aspect to it. It's what makes it something we can share. It's what makes it not meditation. But that orientation towards it as a fundamentally interior practice can be really helpful, because if we approach it that way, then the notion of comparison and the notion that like, oh, I'll just never be as great as so-and-so becomes ludicrous. It becomes ridiculous, because what we're really in this for is our own interior growth, our own interior expansion. And that's entirely within our control. It's entirely within our own, within the realm of our choice. So it's, again, I think it's not uncommon. I think it might even be sort of the status quo for creative work to sort of, for us to be seduced into an identification or a prioritization of the performative aspects of our art, the ways in which our art gets out, and the way in which it's received, and the ways in which it takes its place within the context of our field, etc. But that's looking through the wrong end of the telescope. Like, that's looking at it backwards. If we most fundamentally approach our work as an interior practice, as a practice where our own experience, our own enthusiasm, our own connection, our own growth, our own insert word here is at the fore, then we're gonna maintain that sense that this is an interior-centric perspective and an interior-centric process that also has an exterior reflection. And the exterior reflection will still be there. It will still emerge. We will still have to deal with it. But at least we won't be confused what we're working towards or where our attention should go while we're working towards it. And so that was kind of my, it was when I juxtaposed creative work with meditation and sort of heard the ludicrousness of the idea that we might like really be, disappointed because we're just not the same level of meditator as some other, spiritual master. And I heard the sort of like kind of dissonance in that and the silliness of that I realized, oh my God, I feel like I've been aware of this, but I'm seeing it even more explicitly. We don't just approach the creative process as though it's a spiritual practice. It is already a spiritual practice. That's what we're doing, whether we know it or not, whether we're taking that perspective consciously or not. And so that can hopefully, recognizing that and really letting that sink in, can hopefully undo maybe some of the unhelpful proclivities we might have built into our process of striving for an exterior result, looking for an exterior form of affirmation, reception, whatever. Because it's all meditation. It's all an interior practice that has varying degrees of outward reflection. That's where we're at. So, that's what I got today. Thanks for watching, people. I appreciate you. Have a great day. I'll see you soon.